Hi everyone, my name is Andrea Wu, and I chose to do my presentation on disability portrayed in Law & Order Special Victims Unit. I chose 3 episodes to analyze, and these 3 episodes show disability portrayed in 3 different ways. Pay attention to 2 things especially: how Law & Order portrays disability and how the characters treat people with disabilities. The stereotypes about people with disabilities, as seen in these episodes, include words such as helpless, strange, mythical creatures, burden, unintelligent, slow, dependent, needy, and many other words. Also seen in these episodes is that people believe that people with disabilities need to be institutionalized and that they cannot take care of themselves. The first episode that I analyzed was titled Disabled. It's from Season 11, Episode 17. This episode is about a woman named Kara who was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. She is completely paralyzed and she cannot speak, and her nephew Damien and her sister Janice are her caretakers. In this episode, Kara was sexually abused by a bus driver and physically and mentally abused by her sister Janice. In the episode, Janice kept saying how Kara was a burden to her and that she's helpless, and that the physical abuse that Janice puts on to Kara, Janice says that she cannot feel because she is paralyzed, so she continues to beat Kara and emotionally and mentally abuse her. And the bus driver that assaulted Kara believed that Kara wanted it, that she needs love too, and because she's in a wheelchair, she cannot consent to sexual activity and that she cannot have a real relationship. So the bus driver saw it as doing Kara a favor. And after reading the article by Bicklin and Bogdan, I found some material that links to these episodes. The first thing that I found is that disabled people are seen as many things, and in this episode, Kara is seen as a burden and as non-sexual, and this happens a lot. People with disabilities, as seen in the film Sin's Invalid, can have consensual sex and relationships. There's this concept that people with disabilities are always dependent and in need of care, but this is not true. In this case, Kara is paralyzed completely and she cannot speak, and they put her into a nursing home so she can be taken care of. And in this picture, from left to right, is Kara, Damien, and Janice. The next episode that I analyzed was called Glasgowman's Wrath, and it's from Season 16, Episode 6. This episode is about a homeless man who is referred to as the Glasgowman. He lives in the woods because he was let go from the state asylum that closed down. His real name is Charlie Dorsey, and he has schizophrenia. Dorsey is a larger man and has been living in the woods for quite some time. He is seen as a monster because of the way he looks and because he attacked a girl, but he was wrongly accused. The Glasgowman, or Charlie Dorsey, is seen as a monster and is referred to as quote-unquote a mythical creature. Because of his size and because of his disability, he is accused of crime because he quote-unquote fits the profile, as said by the detectives. And not only does the episode itself show someone with a disability being portrayed as a monster, the characters portray him as a monster as well. So all around, the episode treats him as if he is just a monster. And in Bicklin and Bogdan's articles, it says, quote, people with disabilities are seen as objects of violence. And this is very prevalent in many movies and many TV shows, and especially this episode. In Longmore's article, he talks about the spread effect. The spread effect directly relates to the oppression that people with disabilities face, and it does not only apply to the film and media, but is reality as well. So what is the spread effect? It is, quote, the stigmatized trait assumedly taints every aspect of the person, pervasively spoiling social identity. So in this episode, Charlie Dorsey is judged based on the fact that he has schizophrenia, so he's automatically seen as violent, and the spread effect is also evident in an extension of the notion of loss of humanity, the idea that disability results in self-control, and the disabled character thus endangers the rest of society. This is very prevalent in this episode because Charlie Dorsey is cut off from the rest of the world. He lives in the forest in complete isolation, and because he is seen as a danger because of his schizophrenia. And last but not least, violent loss of self-control results in the exclusion of a disabled person from human community, which is what Charlie Dorsey was facing, being secluded in the woods by himself. In this picture is Detective Creasy and the Glasscoman. As you can see, he's a larger man, and he's being arrested based off of no evidence that he committed a crime. And then they later find evidence in his cave, what they call his cave, that was planted there because he fit the profile. The last episode that I analyzed is a very important episode as well. It is titled Painless, and it's from Season 5, Episode 22. The episode is about an embryologist named Dr. Amy Solway. Amy is deaf, and her primary communication is American Sign Language. The story in this episode is not about her disability, and the importance of this episode is the use of American Sign Language and how they portray someone who is deaf, and they portrayed Amy Solway very well. And it was great to see American Sign Language being used in this episode. I think it should be used in every episode so that people that can read and communicate with American Sign Language can see these episodes and know and not have to depend on closed captioning, because sometimes closed captioning isn't always correct, or sometimes that it's not always available. In the picture is Dr. Amy Solway and Detective Munch. She is also a wheelchair user, and she has a debilitating disease that she originally did not use a wheelchair, but her disease that she has got so bad that she had to use a wheelchair, and she was deaf from birth, so that was her only form of communication. And seeing it in this episode was just so amazing because they portrayed it very well. And the articles that I used to compare these episodes and get information from are Media Portrayals of Disabled People, A Study in Stereotypes by Douglas Bicklin and Robert Bogdan. And I also used Screening Stereotypes, Images of Disabled People by Paul K. Longmore. Thank you very much, and I hope you guys learned something.